Yeah, last session we discussed about how do we use style binding, the style directives, how do we work with them, right? Next, after understanding the basic of style binding, so now another important in Angular, we need to understand about event binding. Event binding. Um, Event binding generally same as JavaScript events actually. Event binding is everything same as JavaScript events. So whatever you know about events in JavaScript, everything similar. Only one change here is the event arguments. So how we pass and what we pass to understand the object event related properties, they will change little bit. Rest of other options are same. I will give you a simple overview of what actually JavaScript events are actually. Generally, you already know technically. So what is an event? What is event? So technically, event, how you define event, right? So event is a message sent by sender to its subscriber in order to notify the change. So event is a message sent by sender to its subscriber in order to notify the change. What does that means? Just an overview I will give you. That is actually technically defining event. Actually, event follows uh, observer pattern actually. Event follows observer pattern. Actually, observer is a communication pattern communication pattern of software design patterns. It is a communication pattern. So generally, event follows the mechanism of observer, right? It uses an observer pattern. Actually, event, how it works, a simple approach I will show you here. Generally, so we have options. In general, I will explain here. Suppose we have a function. So we have a function, and the function is some button click. Suppose delete click is a function. Delete click is a function, and we are defining this. So on button on click is equal to so delete click, that is what we are defining. One second. Yep. So this is a function. We have a delete click. Generally, this is in JavaScript. That is in JavaScript how we configure the event. Now, usually, in general, what anyone thinks is like majority, generally people think like we have a function delete click, and this delete click function is called on button click. So generally people think in this way, right? That means we have a function and we are calling the function. Actually, we are not calling the function. That's wrong. We are not calling the function. We are pointing towards the function. Pointing towards the function. That means on click, it is pointing towards this function. So this is a function pointer. This is a function pointer. That is a function pointer. So it is not calling the function, it is pointing towards the function. So this is actually called sender. This is sender, and this is subscriber. Subscriber. Later you will detailedly learn this one more time under the concept of RxJS. I will show you that point. You will hear this word subscriber. Subscriber contains the actions to perform. What actions to perform? So that means the actions to be performed are defined in the subscriber. Subscriber contains the actions to perform, and sender sends the message. Sender sends the message and notifies when those actions need to be performed. That means on click, it will perform these actions. So it is not calling the function, it is pointing towards the function, pointing towards the function. That is the reason. So we call this as function pointer. So we call as the function pointer. We call this as function point. So this is actually the function pointer. This is the function pointer. So this is the function pointer. That is the function pointer. On click, delete click. And this function pointer can have two arguments. Event can have two arguments. One argument is this, and another argument is event. It can have two arguments, this and event. What is difference? What is the purpose of these two arguments? This is used to send information about the current object. Current object is button. Button related all details you can access by using this. Button related all details means button name, button value, button height, button width, button attributes. You can access all the button related attributes by using this. And event sends information about the current event. Event related properties we can access by using event. That means on click event contains some properties like shift key, control key, alt key. So which key is used while clicking? So where they clicked on x-axis, y-axis, all such information you can access by using this. So in JavaScript, so this is how actually events are defined and work. Angular also same. Angular also same, but generally in Angular, the event related functionality, the subscriber is a method. Subscriber is a method. Delete click is a subscriber. It is not a function. So in Angular, delete click is not a function. This is subscriber, and this is not a function. Subscriber is not a function. So subscriber is a method actually, method, because it is a member of the class, is a method. And event, how the event is pointed. We have a button, and Angular uses all JavaScript events. It uses all JavaScript events. Same. So, but just you need to define the event through a event binding technique, that is the parenthesis. In the parenthesis, you have to define the event click. So JavaScript uses on click, on key up, on key down, on key press, and here in Angular we have to use click. And it points towards delete click. It points towards the delete click. Delete click. It points towards the delete click. So this is a delegate mechanism we generally call as a function pointer, or many times it is called as delegate. Delegate is the name used for function pointer. Delegate means it is a function pointer. So sender sends a message to the subscriber, and subscriber is get notified with the change, and subscriber will perform the functionality. So you will understand how the events are created. So because we are going to learn how to create custom events, how do we create our own events, then you will get a clarity in the architecture of event also. So initially, so this is the process actually. You can observe that. That means we are not calling the function, we are pointing towards the function. You can see that. Suppose, let me give you an example here. Let me add a simple HTML page. A simple HTML page. So some home.html. And here I am just giving a script. Okay. This is, for example, a head section, head. And in that we have a script. And in the body section, so we have a button, and on click is equal to, I just given option as delete click, and here delete. Now actually there is no function called delete click in this page. Then obviously if there is no function and you are calling the function which is not at all available, then it must show some error. It must show some error. Let's go to the console. In the console, you can see, so in the console you can observe, we don't have any errors here. So if you are calling a function and that function definition is not available, then it must show some error, but it is not showing error. But observe here, it will show error when I click on delete button. When I click on delete button, it is trying to point towards this function, and it will not find the function on delete click. You can observe that when I click on delete button, at that time it is unable to find the function and it shows an error. So reference error. Delete click is not defined. That means we are not calling the function. if we are calling the function, it must show some message immediately saying that some function you are trying to use is not available. But actually, so it is function pointer, it is not function calling. And this function pointer, that means we are expecting a function delete click. Now on delete click, we are displaying document.write delete. So that means now we have a function pointer pointing towards the function, and it performs that functionality. It performs that functionality. So technically event is a function pointer. Event is a function pointer. And event have two arguments. One is this, another one is event. Event have two arguments. So this and event. This sends the information about the object. Suppose the button is object. Button is having name, btn delete. Button is having value, delete, like this. Button is having some class as btn. So you can send information about the button. So by using this sends the information. So we are collecting that here. So obj and e. Obj refers to object, e refers to the event. Object related all properties you can access. So for example, simply I'm giving an iterator for var property in obj. We are reading all the properties. So I am printing the property document.write property and br. And all the properties are printed. All the properties are printed. And you can see that button related, so many properties will be there. All the properties will come. Button related properties, these are all button related properties. We don't want all, we want any specific. Then we can simply say document.write. So obj dot name. That means it will return the button name. It will return the button name, btn delete. So we want to access the button value, obj.value. It will get the button value. We want the button class name. So it will get the button class name. What's the button class name? btn. You know that. So its attribute is class, but its property is class name. You can access it. So object related properties we can access by using this. Event related properties we can access by using e. E contain event related properties. Event has a lot of properties, like so many properties are there. Suppose I will write a var property in e, and we are printing that property document.write property. So I am printing all the properties here, and you can see it is printing the properties. These are all properties: is trusted, client, screen X, screen Y, client X, client Y, control key, shift key, alt key. All these are the properties of that event related properties you can access by using E. But in Angular, this is important. So in Angular, when you are configuring the event, so Angular event, it will allow only one argument. Angular event allow only one argument, that is $event. In JavaScript, event can have two arguments, that is this and event. And here it can have only one argument, that is $event. So it cannot have this because this is already a reserved word used so here in the class of that particular component. So here you can use only $event. Then $event can send both object related properties. It can send object related properties as well as it can send event related properties. For both of them, this $event is used. $event is used. But to get object related properties, we have to use event dot target event dot target. It will get the object related properties. Event related properties you can directly access. Event related properties you can directly access. Object related properties we have to access by using target. Event properties we can access just by using this event reference. So on click or any event, only one argument is allowed. So technically only one argument is allowed. So the argument that you define, the argument that you configure, right? So let's check that here. So let me add one component here. So let's add a component. So ng generate component and event demo. Okay, skip this. Yeah, so let's run this here. Project is equal to Amazon. Okay. Now in the event binding here, I will keep that in the startup also. Right. Event demo. Yeah, that is in the startup. Fine. Event demo. Yep. Okay. So let's go to this event demo just to understand what the event option is here. So in the event demo, so we are defining in the TS file, we are configuring a method. We are configuring a method here. So that is the method. So some delete click is a method. And this method should fire up. So when user clicks on a button, so let's go to event demo here. And here I am defining the class container. Yep. And button and delete. And the button have some properties like name, btn delete, like value. So value as some btn, some delete, and the class, so btn and btn danger something. So now we need to configure event for this particular button. We need to configure event for that button. So, and we need to collect the information. So let's access that. Yeah. And when I click on this delete, I want to call that delete click. So here I just give a heading event binding. Okay. Now, generally, how you configure the event in Angular. So by using a parenthesis, and we need to access that event click, and we need to point towards that method delete click, and it supports an event argument $event. $event. It sends information about both of them, object related properties and event related properties. Both are accessed here. So object and event related properties both are accessed here. So you can send those details here. That means that is why it is called sender. It sends information and this is the subscriber which gets that information. So this is the reference. This is the reference for that event. Now through that E, we can access both event related properties and object related properties. To access object related properties, so we have to use, I'm writing here alert, and suppose we want to access E dot target dot name. That's how we access the properties of object. Object related properties are accessed by using target. You have to use this target. That means when I click on this delete, then it should get that btn delete. That is the name. Suppose I want to access the value. So the value. So that means it will get the value. So delete, it gets the value delete. And I define here class name. So that means on click, so it has to get that class name and display that class name. So btn danger, these are the class names. So object related properties are accessed by using this e.target. And object related properties are required in various occasions. So we need them in regular occasions. So those object related properties are accessed by using this method, are configured and accessed by using this method. Now important event related properties you can directly access. That means event related properties, if I want to access, then I can just put another alert, e dot client x. It gets the x-axis position. It gets the x-axis position where you clicked. So that means here we are configuring. So we are defining in this way. That means you can see here, when I click on the delete, it gets the x-axis position. This is class name and x-axis position is 51. I clicked somewhere right side corner. So here you can see its name is BTN danger and it is 115, 115, that is the position. So event related arguments, event related properties, we can directly access. Object related properties, we cannot directly access. So for that, we have to use the target option. We have to use the target option. That is only the change here. That is only the change here. And all the events of JavaScript are same here in Angular. That means Angular uses all JavaScript events in the same way. So no need to explain about what is click, what is change like options, but just I will give you. Usually you already know that. Generally, JavaScript events are categorized into several. So we have like mouse events. We have like key events. We have like timer events. We have like miscellaneous events. So, and in Angular, These are general JavaScript events. In Angular, we can also have custom events. Custom events. Custom events means you can create your own event. You can configure your own event. That means just like the controls are having the events, and your component also can have its own event. You can create your own event. It can have its own event. You can create custom events by implementing a class called event emitter, which I will show you in custom events. How do we manage them? So by implementing event emitter, we can create our custom events. We can configure the custom events. We can define the custom events. So events can be configured so by our own, which we will see that. So how event is defined, how event is configured, custom events are defined here. Because other events are general, so all JavaScript based events. So let's see, I will give you a simple example. So same you can follow everywhere. So the key events, so that means what are the key events? Key event binding. Generally, you know, key events, so we have the events like key up, we have the event like key down, so we have the event like key press. And a key event related properties, mostly used key event related properties, we have like shift key, we have control key, we have alt key, we have which, we have key code, we have char code. These are the properties which are regularly used with events. And generally, key code, character code, which keys, these are used to get the code of that particular key that you are using. And which key, shift key, control key, alt key, they will verify whether the shift key used or not. They return Boolean true or false based on the key used or not. And key up, key down, key press specifies the actions to perform when user is using the keys. I will give you a simple example. That means same, if you know in JavaScript the same way how you define, how do you configure and use them. I will give a simple example. Later we can add several options and configure several options also. A simple example, let's take a simple example here. Suppose means where we use them, where we use these kind of events. One simple example for that. So event binding techniques. So let's see. Key event related techniques. So key event related options, we have event, key up, key down, and key press. And generally, you know the actions to perform on key up, key down. And what is difference between key up, key down, and key press? Usually, key press is an event which fires up when you finish the key, when you finish a key, and key in another key, then it is considered as key press actually. That means, for example, suppose I have typed here JOHN. If anyone asks how many keys are pressed here, then usually how many keys are pressed here is 3, not 4, because so the cursor is still in this N key. The cursor is still in this N key. It is not finished. That means it is not considered as key pressed. So it is considered as only 3 keys pressed. Once you use a space, that means now 4 keys are pressed. Or once you type another character, then 4 keys are pressed now. So that is what actually key press. The key press will fire up when you finish the key and use another key. These are regularly used events. Let's see one simple example. So how do we define and how do we configure this? One simple example here. And we want to display some message and configure the message. So means generally in validations where we use these options and work with those options. Let's see. So for example, I am defining a simple design here. Let's see how to use these events, right? So we have a div and a class as form a register. So we have a register form. Register means we will create our own custom classes for defining some appearance. Also, we will give some appearance based on that. Initially, let me give a simple design first. So I will create a div and class as form group. Okay. And here we have a label. So user name. Yeah. And here we are defining some div input type is equal to text. Okay. Now class as form control. Okay. That's the option defined. And this form registered, that is only the option we are having here. And for that form register, we will add some more options, password, how do we verify and all. I'm adding some CSS. So form register, so the form register, so we will give some width is 300 pixel and some border 2 pixel, solid, some dark CL. Okay. And padding to 20 pixel and margin auto. So margin auto, yep. And margin top, I'll just give as 20 pixel. Okay. And border radius, some 10 pixel. So these are all the options defined for the form. So you can see the form looks like this. This is username. We will create a simple form. So register form, how we can configure. And wherever we are using a label, let's keep font weight as bold. That is better for highlighting that name. Okay. And here the username. When user is typing that username, while typing the username, I need to verify is that username is already taken or not. And I need to display a message. I need to display a message. While typing, we need to verify. That means now we need to use the key events like key up, key down. That means I should not wait. So to finish the complete word, I should verify every character because every character change may available that username. That means one character is changed, username may be available. In that case, for every character, we need to verify. For every key, we need to verify. And we need to display some message below here. We want to display some message. Below this text box, we want to display the message. So I'm just adding here. I'm just adding here. So a span. I'm just adding here a span. And so for this span, we will display some effects and options, and we will display some message here. That message is not yet decided. We will display that message here. So what is the logic here? How we configure this? So I'm creating a simple collection users. So users is an array of objects. And every object have username, some John, that is the username. So we are creating username, and the username is some John123, some username, and here we define some David. These are some usernames we have. So when user is typing the username, so these are the usernames. I need to verify, so is every character matching or mismatching with it? And I need to display. So I will just declare, so username. Username is one property which collects the username entered inside the text box. And I will also create message. Message is a property which is empty. Message is empty. So username and message, we have these two options. We will put effects and display the effects later. So initially we will just give the message here. Now the condition here is condition, whatever the value user entered inside the text box, we need to collect it. Then I will bind this through a model and we will bind it to the username. So username contains the name that you have entered inside the text box. Okay. Now what I have to do is, so I have to verify, is this username that user is typing is available or not inside this users. That means is it exists or not. Then I will simply write a condition. I need to verify that for every character. Then I will just use verify user. This verify user function should fire up for every character that you are typing inside this text box. So then we have to write the event key up, key up. Key up indicates the actions to perform when user release the key. When user release the key, immediately it will perform that particular functionality. Which function? So verify user. So verify user is a method that fires up immediately after every key up. When you just release the key, it will perform that particular functionality. It will perform that particular functionality. After every key up, it handles that functionality. So now what we have to do is, for every character, I need to verify. That means whether the username entered is matching with any users inside this collection. Then I will just use an iterator. So where user of this dot, so this dot users. That means we are performing iteration over the collection. And I need to verify if user dot username, because this is the username property, username is matching with, so this dot username that you entered inside the text box, it is matching with the text box. That means the username of the collection is matching with the username that you entered inside the text box. Then we will put a message, this dot message, we will put a message as a username taken, try another. So that is the message we will define. So we will define try another. So else, so what we need to do, that means after displaying this message, it should stop. So break, because you are writing in an iteration, and it should stop after displaying this message. Else it should display a message, this dot message, it should say, so username available. It should display the message username available. So that means we are defining an event that fires up every time when a key is up, Initially, I'm just using the key up event here, and here I'm typing J, and for every character it should get that message and display, but the message must be displayed below. So this message must be displayed below inside this span. So here I will keep that message. Here. Now you can see that when you are typing that username, so it shows that username available. I am typing some John. So John, then it says username taken, try another. For every character, it is verifying. Some John 1, it is available. And John 1, 2, it is not available. 1, 2 is also available. 1, 2, 3 is taken. That means for every character, it is verifying. Every character is verifying. Now observe carefully. Suppose I given this not on key up, on key press. Many times people have this doubt, sir, key up and down is key press only. No, key up and down is not key press, because key press is event that fires up when you finish the key. What does that mean? You see now, suppose I'm using key press. I'm typing J, username available. Okay, JOHN. It is still saying that available, but it should say taken. But it is not displaying that. Why? Because currently N is not finished. So when I finish N, that means I put a space, then it verifies. So it should not be like that. So we don't need every situation to work on key press. We want the situation to happen on key up, immediately on key up. So that is key press. Key press will fire up once you finish the key and key in another key. Then key press will work. Sometimes we need key press. I will tell you that situation also. When we need key press, when we need key up. This is key up. That means we need, this is best, because for immediately we need to verify when key is up. So key press is not correct here in this situation. So key up immediately verifies that character. So when you are typing here, it is immediately verifying that character. And important is, of course, we can give different class names. We can define, suppose I want to apply different colors. If valid, one color, if invalid, another color. We want to display such colors. So that is general actually. You can apply the classes. You learned already class binding technique. And already bootstrap classes are present. For this span, I want to apply class dynamically. Generally, dynamically means then we will use ng class. And we have classes. So like text success, text danger, two classes are there. So what I will do now, I will use an object technique and I will give the class name. So the class name here is text success, that is the class name. Remember, this is already bootstrap class name. When it should apply, it should apply. So when it is invalid, it should apply when it is invalid, and it should apply when it is valid, invalid. That means we need to pass a Boolean value into it, true or false. So what I am doing here is, here I am writing, so valid style is false. Okay. Invalid style is also false. By default, valid style, invalid style, both are false. And if username is taken, then what I will do is this dot valid style is equal to false, and this dot invalid style is equal to true. We will pass a Boolean value. If it is available, then what we will do is this dot valid style is equal to true. We will swap the values. This dot invalid style is equal to false. Now these valid and invalid styles we will apply here. On success, we will access valid style, which is true or false. Text success, that means if it is valid, then text success class will be applied. And if it is invalid, text danger class will be applied. Text danger class must be applied. So, and it gets value from invalid style. And remember, these text danger and text success are bootstrap classes, which you can directly apply. And you can see now, I am writing here. So John, it says username available. It shows in a green color. And when I say John, John, and it is taken, it shows changes to red color. That means dynamically we are applying the classes and we are defining those classes there. So 1, 2, it is available. 1, 2, 3, it is taken. It changes the color and it defines the color. So technically, you can apply the effect for this text box also. Already I told you that we can apply the effects for the text box also. That means valid style, valid effect, invalid effect, you can apply for the text box. That means I want this text box in red color, green color, depending on the situation. Then usually we can apply there. That means here we can define like this. I'm adding a valid effect. I'm adding a valid effect. So the valid effect have border 2 pixel, solid and green. That is the valid effect. And it is having some box shadow 2 pixels, some 3 pixels, some 4 pixel and green. This is for valid. Similarly, I have an invalid effect. So invalid effect where we will change the color to red. Invalid effect. That means we have two classes, valid effect, invalid effect. Now these classes we need to apply for the text box. Then text box also can use ng class, and it will use the object style, and that is a valid effect. Valid effect, it gets value from valid style. It is true or false. And another one, invalid effect. So it will get the value from invalid style. And you can see that that's going to display that and handle. Now I am typing here, suppose J, then it says valid or invalid, and you can see this is showing the color. So if it is available, then it should display some valid effect, right? Yes, spelling, yeah. Now when you are typing here, if it is valid, then it will be in green color. And if it is invalid, it will change that into red. That means we can configure the appearance. We can define the appearance anywhere we want. Just we have to use the combination of what we have learned. So this is the key event binding technique where we have just used the option key up. Generally where we use key press, key down, key up, and mouse events, key events, custom events. We will see one example. I will give you one example with key events, one example with mouse events, and one example with miscellaneous events. Then we can go with custom events. So the other events, how do we work with them? That we will see in next session tomorrow, right? Tomorrow we can finish all these general events of JavaScript. Then we can go into custom events, how we can create our custom events in Angular, right? Tomorrow we'll continue with that.